Hello and welcome to the Quarantined Wargamer. I'm Big Lee and today I wanted to talk about taking notes. So today's video really is aimed at presumably new players and new wargamers, new painters who may be starting out in the hobby, and I wanted to share a little bit of generally accepted gamer wisdom. I think it would be true to say that most painters and gamers keep notes of one kind or another. Now, if they're anything like me, they're going to have notebooks of all different sizes all over the place. I'm a demon for that. I'm always buying new notebooks and half filling them up before I start on a new one. Even in this digital age, I do tend to have a notebook for handwritten notes. And in fact, I actually always carry a small little notebook in my bag or in my pocket, so I've always got something as a backup. Of course, in recent years I've gone a little bit more digital, but I always like to have a paper and pen notepad with me. And I think it's a piece of knowledge, a piece of wisdom that most existing wargamers probably use, but a lot of new players perhaps haven't thought of. Particularly if you're, you're starting out for the first time and you're not really sure what to do. And I would urge you, from the very first days of painting any miniatures that you're doing or any project you're working on, keep some notes, keep a little diary. Even if it's just a little notebook, something that you can look back on later. Now, I find this enormously useful. In fact, I've got a notebook here that I used when I started doing World War II stuff many years ago, and I'm using it now. So, because for instance, it's got the colours that I want from the American infantry, how I painted my Panzer troops, and so on. And there's notes in here. I mean, some of it is a bit dated. I've changed techniques. I use different washes, for instance. My varnishing is different from when I first started off, but the colour schemes are in there and there's some very useful information. And I found myself referring to, now this notebook's got to be 20 years old and I'm still referring to it. And I always keep it, like I say, I do now have a small notebook. It's actually a moleskin pocketbook in a little leather cover, just so it doesn't get muffed up, and I keep that in my pocket all the time. I always keep it in my bag, take it on holiday when I go out for the day, just in case my phone breaks down, because I do also use a program on my phone for keeping notes. Now, I've mentioned this in several previous videos. It's a program called Google Notes. Now, there are other types of programs that you can use. This is just one that I'm familiar with. So there you go. It's coming up on my phone. So you can create notes on all sorts of sections here. I've got some notes on a potential future episode for the Quarantined Wargamer. So I just used the voice recognition software in here, so I can just get some ideas out and it types it out for me, and then I can type them up and work on them later on when I've got a bit more time. So if I have a moment of inspiration, if I'm in work or I'm out walking or something and I think of something, oh, that might be a good idea for something to speak about, I'll whip open Google Notes, put the voice recognition software on, and I can just dictate straight into it. Now, admittedly, autocorrect is a bizarre planet, frankly. Some of the words and sentences that come out, I read them later and I go, what the hell was I talking about? But on the whole, I can get a lot of notes down very quickly using that. I also use Google Notes for keeping lists of things like books that I want. So you probably can't see any of that on here, but there's a bulleted list of books that I'm after. And obviously once I get those books, I can tick them off. So I previously mentioned a few weeks ago about some impulse buying disasters where I treated myself to some books and it turns out I had them already. Well, these lists of books that I now keep on my phone were inspired by that very example, where I'd ended up buying something twice. My friend Posty, he alwayou always keeps a paper copy of every Osprey ever written, and he ticks them off as he buys them. I've just got an electronic version. Whatever works for you. You can keep them in a notebook. Of course, the beauty of a notebook is the battery never runs out. But certainly I would advise something like Google Notes is a very good option, particularly in this digital age. The other advantage is you can then access it from on different systems. So although I'm entering it on my phone into Google Notes, that program is also available when I go on my computer, so I can then copy and paste that information into, say, a Word document where I can do some more work on it and expand on it, correct the spelling, change the autocorrect. and turn it into a script for a video like this, or into an article that I'm going to write for my blog, or whatever it might be. So digital's definitely got legs. It's definitely got a future. And whatever, at the end of the day, I'm always saying this, and I'll keep repeating it. Whatever works for you is whatever is the best system. But I would certainly recommend, in certain terms of painting, a paper notebook. You can't beat it, because you can put your colours in there, you can paint it into the book if necessary, and keep them anywhere. You know, somewhere where you can find them. Like I say, I've got dozens of little notebooks for different projects that I've done. Sometimes I've only filled a few pages of the notebook before I've bought a new one. But the point is I keep them all, and I often find myself referring back to them. So if you're starting out in painting for the first time, I heartily recommend this as a tried and trusted way of keeping track of your painting projects. Not only is it interesting to look back later and go, oh look, this is what I was working on, but you may actually find that some of the solutions you found, some of the colour schemes, you might want to replicate. You know, you might well find yourself returning to an army that you painted 10 or 20 years earlier. You know, it's quite possible, and then wanting to add to it and put additional figures in it, and you want to keep the paint scheme the same as before. Even things as simple as, how did I base those models? What colour schemes did I use for the basing? You know, what grade of grit, for instance, did I stick to my bases? You can put those notes in there, so that they're to refer to. So there you have it. Very short video really today. I just wanted to sort of, you know, recommend the use of note taking in whatever format suits you. It's very, very useful. You might not necessarily understand or feel the benefit of it now, but you might do in 5 or 10 or 15 years time. So always keep your notes. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. As usual, if you've enjoyed the video, please click the like button, and consider subscribing to my channel. You can always unsubscribe later if I get in your nerves. And of course, please leave your comments below in the comment section, or over on my blog, Big Lee's Miniature Adventures, where I'll be continuing the conversation. So that just leaves me to say, as usual, please, I hope you're all looking after yourself. I hope you're managing the changes, constant changes to social distancing and isolation rules where you live, whether that's still in place, reimposed, or being relaxed entirely. Just hope that you're managing to navigate your way through the changes in rules and keeping yourself and your family safe. So until next time, keep rolling high.